Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Margie Graff, and I'm the President and CEO of the Greater Rockville Chamber of Commerce. And I want to welcome you to part one of a three-part AI series. And I'm busy letting everybody in the room while I'm trying to talk. So anyway, I would like to thank Pam Clark from Clark Communications for sponsoring our series. Thank you so much, Pam. We had our AI live kickoff at Bonero, and now we're following up with a three-part webinar, AI series webinar. So let me introduce you to Mia Kynadi. I hope I said that right. Mia is a data scientist, entrepreneur, and early stage investor with a track record of co-founding tech companies in India and the US. She is the co-founder and CEO of VentureFactory.AI, a global AI venture studio, and leads Beyond Z LLC, which is a US-based digital transformational firm. As Joint Managing Director at VentureWay, she drives global tech investments and startup ecosystem growth. An active angel investor, she serves on the board of governors at Sparks Angel Network. Mia holds advanced degrees and certifications in AI and data science from SUNY Buffalo, MIT, Stanford, and Harvard. She's also the founder of, can you say what foundation that is?
This Get AI, it's growth and empowerment through AI.
Okay, which supports education for underprivileged children in India and is establishing the Get
AI, Get AI.
Foundation in Geneva to promote global empowerment through AI. So we are thrilled to have Mia present to us. And thank you so much for taking time out of your traveling schedule to present. So I'll turn it over to you, Mia.
Thank you so much, Margie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Pam, for making this possible, and great to see you all. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. All right. Is that good? Do you see the slides? Okay. So today I'm going to talk about building your AI foundation as an organization or as an individual. How do you start engaging with AI? And we talk to a lot of people, we talk to a lot of organizations, and what we see is that people want to get started with AI, but they're just not sure how to go about it, where to start. So today I want to talk about 3 levels of engagement with AI. Depending on your level of appetite for the technology, your budgets, the size of your organization, there are different levels at which you can engage with AI. So I'm going to talk about 3 levels of engagement, and then we'll get into lowering barriers for AI adoption, why it has been getting easier to adopt AI, organizational structure when you start adopting AI in the organization, what kind of behaviors lead to successful AI projects. And then we talk about the importance of a well-considered AI adoption roadmap. So that's the agenda for today. And I'm looking forward to your questions and answering them, I think, at the end of the session, as Margie mentioned. So here we are. So 3 levels of engagement. So one is off-the-shelf applications. That's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the easiest way to engage with AI. There's not much investment. There's not much upskilling or training required. These are just tools that are out there that you can just start using off the shelf. The next level of engagement is targeted AI implementations. These are, again, localized implementations. You have a certain business goal or a business issue, and you solve for it. You custom build an AI solution for it. So it's targeted and it's localized. And the third level of engagement is an AI-first approach, where AI and data analytics is at the core of what drives your company, what drives your business strategy. So we look at each of these levels of engagement just briefly, and then we can get into it in the Q&A if anybody would like to know more about it. There are many off-the-shelf applications out there. I'd just like to mention a few. The chatbots, of course, we're all familiar with. ChatGPT is probably the most popular from OpenAI. There are also various other chatbots like Claude, Meta, Gemini from Google, and more. And what these chatbots do today, they've evolved also over time. And what they do is they allow you to reason over content. They allow you to summarize content. If you have Excel sheets, you can do basic analysis on your sheets. You can generate images. There's a lot you can do. You can generate art, you can generate poetry. There's a lot you can do with it. I know that a lot of people also use ChatGPT or chatbots as search engines for web search. However, for web search, Perplexity is a great tool. Perplexity.AI. It searches across websites and gives you a summarized response. And the responses of Perplexity are much more grounded. So you might have heard about hallucinations, where these chatbots do give out information that is not factual, right? But Perplexity's responses are grounded in the results from the web search. So for web search, I think Perplexity is a better tool. And nowadays in Google search results, you might have noticed that before the links appear, there's an AI overview that comes up. That overview is also AI generated. For marketing, people, for your marketing content generation, for measuring your marketing, there are various tools. Jasper is a very popular one. There are grammar checkers and rewording tools that have been around for a very long time. Video creation and editing. Runway is a very popular tool. There's Sora from OpenAI. These tools allow you to give text prompts and generate video content. For image generation, there's DALL-E, there's Midjourney, there's Stability.ai. In fact, DALL-E is developed by OpenAI as well, and it works with ChatGPT. DALL-E is the image generation tool behind Bing. So you might have engaged with DALL-E. There are a lot of design professionals who use Midjourney extensively because it does generate high fidelity images. So if you have marketing content for which you need images, Midjourney would be a great tool. For voice and music generation, there are a lot of tools out there. Social media management, which is becoming increasingly important for organizations today. So for managing your social media feed, for generating content, for generating blogs, there are a lot of tools. Knowledge management is another great application of AI. I'll be getting into it in detail a bit later. So these are some off-the-shelf tools that do exist, but I'll talk more about it later in the presentation. There are transcription and meeting assistants, slide decks and presentation to generate beautiful slides, to lay out your slides. There are tools that help with that. So what are some statistics? Coca-Cola used a ChatGPT-based assistant for content creation. And what they found is a 90% reduction in content creation cost. And one of our portfolio companies, VentureWay, we use a custom GPT as a communications executive. And what that allows us to do is to allow our resources to be able to provide content at a much higher level than they would otherwise. Also, in keeping with the company's tone, the company's voice, the kind of content that as an organization we would want to put out. Another portfolio company of ours, Limner, we had a code base that was in C and we wanted to port to Python. And we didn't have a lot of Python resources, but with ChatGPT and the resource that we had, they were able to do the code migration. So an MIT study actually said that using a chatbot as an assistant decreased the time it took workers to complete certain types of tasks by 40%, and the output quality rose by 18%. So those are the kinds of benefits you can get by using just off-the-shelf tools and not really custom building any solutions. So this is definitely low-hanging fruit, but also good to engage with AI at this level as well. The next level of engagement is targeted AI implementations, where we custom build solutions based on your data, based on your organization's data. You build solutions for a certain specific goal. And these solutions can come under various categories. They could be NLP, which is natural language processing, or predictive analytics, AI agents. It could be computer vision. This could be a range of solutions, and I'm going to just touch upon a few. So knowledge-based management, I alluded to it earlier. What this is when you have an organization with a lot of internal documentation, it can be hard for your internal resources to know where to look for the information they need. And it can be difficult even for, especially for new hires, to find the information they require. But what you can do is build a conversational agent, a chatbot that sits on top of your documentation so that your resources can engage with this chatbot, can ask questions. It will reason over your documentation and provide a well-grounded answer. So hallucinations are reduced as well. So it's a great tool to have. Microsoft Copilot does knowledge-based management. If you have the Enterprise Edition, it's a great addition. So some examples, the International Labour Organization built AnswerMate, which is a chatbot that sits on top of their internal documentation, and they found really significant improvement in productivity. JP Morgan and Chase is giving its employees an assistant that's again powered by ChatGPT, and they find that their workforce is better equipped on account of it. You can have NLP solutions that are external facing as well for your customers and your clients to engage with. It could be product information, it could be service related information. Depending on what your company deals with, you could have a chatbot that sits on top of your documentation that your external stakeholders have access to. And this can significantly reduce the load on your customer service team. Predictive analytics is another class of solutions that have been around for a long time, and they have great benefit. Essentially, in predictive analytics, you are trying to predict future outcomes based on historical data. So it really transforms decision making because now your decisions are really grounded in the insights from your data. And predictive maintenance is one of the main use cases that have been around for predictive analytics, where you intervene for maintenance as needed rather than doing scheduled maintenance. Right? You monitor your equipment and you have data that's coming in, and you have an AI model that's running on top of it, on top of that data, that then tells you which parts or which machinery might require intervention. And predictive analytics has use cases across multiple industries. In healthcare, it's used to predict patient outcomes. In supply chain, it can be used to predict and then prevent disruptions. In banking, it is being used to detect fraud. And what this allows you to do is to monitor every transaction as it happens real time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is impossible to do with a human workforce. In marketing, it allows you to understand your customers better and to segment your customers to target your campaigns. And we'll be getting into the details of customer segmentation and targeted campaigns in the following workshops a bit more. So this is a quote from the VP at Gartner saying that information is the oil of the 21st century and analytics is the combustion engine. So another thing that we see is that a lot of companies have a lot of data, but they're not yet doing anything with it. So the idea now today is to run analytics on it and gather insights from your data and then let that drive your business strategy and your approach to your consumers. A few examples of predictive analytics from industry. P&G used AI in logistics and supply chain, and they saved about $1 billion. JP Morgan and Chase ran a pilot program where they used predictive analytics to understand what kind of content their customers are likely to engage with. And they found a 450% increase in click-through rate. McKinsey and Company estimates that using predictive maintenance will reduce unscheduled breakdowns by up to 50%. So those are the kinds of benefit you can have from targeted AI solutions. Another class of solutions that is gaining popularity today is AI agents. Essentially, AI agents are AI models which also have access to external tools. So these external tools could be email clients, it could be Google Maps, it could be a weather service, depending on your use case, depending on what you need to do. And these AI agents are trained to know when to call these external tools. So you could build AI agents with different levels of autonomy, and essentially they sort of supercharge your AI models by giving them access to additional capabilities. So an example of AI agents is Klarna, which is a financial services company based out of Sweden. And they built an AI agent as a customer service agent. And the agent has had 2.3 million conversations. The beauty of it is that these agents are available 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in multiple languages across time zones. And they found that the quality of these conversations was at par with those of their human representatives. Klarna estimated a $40 million profit last year. So, what are some of the key considerations when you're looking at developing targeted AI solutions? One is, what are the opportunities in your industry? What are your pain points in your company? The other is, what are the opportunities in your growth trajectory? Where would you like to go? And the most important consideration is, what is the state of your data currently? Do you have the data that you need to build the solutions that you require? And then, as I mentioned, you need a well-considered AI implementation roadmap. And we'll get into the details of that further in this session. And the third level of engagement that we could consider is an AI-first approach. This is an all-in approach where AI is core and center of your business strategy. How do you get there? So this is a statistic of sorts that Forbes is saying AI-first companies are outpacing rivals and redefining the future of work. How do you become AI-first? You need a centralized data strategy. You need a centralized data. You need to restructure and reimagine your operations to be able to fully leverage AI. And it allows you to build cross-functional and interdepartment solutions. And we'll see how in the following slides. In this age of data, one of the significant insights is that the more data you have, you're able to train better algorithms, better models. And when you have a better trained algorithm, you're able to provide better solution, a better service. And when you have a better service, more people are likely to use it, which then generates more data. And this is a positive cycle that continues and repeats. How do you go from legacy systems to an AI-driven architecture? So even established companies that have been running for years and they have legacy systems, they can make this transition. How do you do it? How do you go from a siloed data architecture, which is what many companies have today? You have every department has its own data. The finance department has their own data, the marketing have their own data, R&D have their own data, procurement has their own data, but these departments don't talk to each other as they should. So the idea is to go from this siloed data architecture to a centralized data architecture so that then you can run your AI and analytics on it, drive insights from that, and then let that drive your business. So the idea is to go in phases. The first step is to run a pilot to choose two departments, get data from those departments and combine them. And in doing so, you will figure out what is the kind of data architecture that suits your organization, that suits your business, what are your data security needs, what are your data governance needs, what are your access requirements for the data. So you get all those moving parts sorted and you combine the data from two departments and run that as a pilot program. And once you have that done, you can then pull in data from all the other departments in your organization and then build the central data repository. And on top of this repository, you would run all your AI analytics, which would give you insights, and then your strategy would be driven by that. So I wanted to give you an example of a company that is AI first and the kind of growth that enables. So this is it's plotting number of bank accounts in millions, and we're comparing banks. And the green curve that you can see shooting up 2015, exponential growth since then, is a company called Ant Financial. It's a spin-off from Alibaba. And the other companies, there's Bank of America, Bank of China, Citibank, many of the banking giants. So you can see that Ant Financial has grown in terms of number of users significantly, exponentially. And to put some numbers on it, Ant Financial services over 1 billion customers. It has less than 20,000 employees. In comparison, Bank of America serves 69 million customers, but it has over 200,000 employees, right? And Ant Financial also stands out in terms of the breadth of its service offerings to its consumers. The range of products that it offers its consumers is one. And the second is the speed at which it's able to respond to its customers. Because it is data-driven, because it is AI first, the company is very quickly able to understand what the consumer wants, and it's quickly able to spin out products to meet that need. So that is something that has fueled this exponential growth. So we move on to the next section, lowering barriers for AI adoption. So the barriers to AI adoption are falling. And what I mean by that is, three of the things you need: hardware, software, data, and algorithms. And all of these are becoming easier to manage. In terms of hardware, you do need high processing. You need a lot of compute to train AI models. And today, if you want an NVIDIA, state-of-the-art NVIDIA card, there is a waiting list for it. But there are also cloud computing platforms where you can buy compute. And these are scalable. You just buy as you need and you scale up as you go. So the scalable, some examples are Microsoft Azure, there's Amazon AWS, there's Google Cloud. All of these companies do provide compute. So you can take as much compute as you need and you can scale up as you go. The other thing is software. So there's a lot of open source code available today. There are a lot of open source frameworks available today. So a lot of the coding has been done and you can build on top of it, which is not to say that there's no room for innovation. AI is one of the areas that innovation is going at the fastest pace, but there is still a lot of code that is out there that you can build on top of. So you do not need to start from scratch in many cases. And in terms of data and algorithms, AI training is very dependent on the data sets. Any AI solution is only as good as the data that it is trained on. But there are a lot of data sets that are available. Many of them are open source. Some are available for purchase. There are marketplaces where you can look for data that suits your needs. And also there are pre-trained models that you can use as is, or you can train further, you can fine tune. So in that sense, barriers to AI adoption are falling. And why I wanted to make a mention of it here is that because it's becoming easier to adopt AI, chances are that someone in your industry is going to start adopting AI. And people who do make that step are going to have a competitive advantage simply because they're going to be able to make better sense of their data and make better decisions for the business. Which is not to say, I mean, there's plenty of room for intuition and experience, but having this sort of data-driven architecture will feed into that, will add to that. And because these barriers are falling, it's essentially a call to action to say, it's time to get started. So the next one, AI and organizational structure. If you were to build AI talent in the organization, how would you go about it? What are some of the ways that you could build AI talent in the organization? So there are many ways to do it, and I'm just mentioning three of them, just to get you thinking in that direction. One is a center of excellence model, a functional model, there's a dispersed model, and we'll get into the details of each. So center of excellence model is where you build a center of excellence, you pull in domain experts from your various departments, and you also have data analytics, data science, and AI skills and you build a center of excellence. So what this enables is that your domain experts can drive what kind of solutions might be impactful for your company, and then the AI skills can build solutions and they can work together closely. So some of the advantages is that learnings can be shared because this is centralized. Learnings can be shared. It's easier to establish best practices at an organizational level. Some of the disadvantages is that when you have a center of excellence, when you have the AI skills removed from functional areas, it can lead to a lack of understanding of what's happening on the ground. It's important to have AI development very close to what's happening on the ground, because otherwise you may build a solution and then you give it to a department and they say, that's not how we work, this doesn't help. So it's very important to stay close to what the department needs, how they work, what the consumers need, what the clients need. So this is a functional model where you have functional departments, functional categories in your organization. It could be human resources, it could be sales and marketing, it could be manufacturing. So in each functional area, you also give AI skills so that they can then develop solutions for those functions. The advantage is that you're very close to, you're on the ground with your AI skills. The disadvantage is that because it's decentralized, it can be harder to establish best practices. It can be harder to share the AI learnings that are happening across the organization. A dispersed model is where there is no real organization of AI skills. You have AI talent in the company, and whoever has an AI idea and wants to build it can work with the AI talent in the company to build a solution. And there are many disadvantages to this, I think. The advantage is that it's easier for small solutions to kind of bloom up, to build small solutions that could have immediate impact. Which model might be best for you? And that really depends on your current organizational structure. And whichever model you choose, you do need to have an ongoing evaluation to make sure that the AI skills and the organization of the AI skills is best suited to your company and the needs of your company. And there are Twitter is an example where they had a centralized model of a deploying AI skills, but then they dispersed it a bit because they felt they were disconnected from what was happening on the ground. So, what are some of the organizational behaviors for successful AI implementation, right? The thing is that successful AI implementation also requires a cultural change, right? Your workforce needs to be prepared to, one is to take in the insights that are coming in from AI, and you need to build trust in the system. You could have state-of-the-art insights coming in from your data, but if your workforce is not using it, then it won't lead to any benefit for the organization. So one is the focus on insights and process. You need to focus on how your business runs. Where can you give these insights? Where would it be most impactful to give these insights? And you need to build and deploy based on that so that you are getting the insights from the data at the points that you need it the most and in a way that your workforce can use it easily. If it's difficult to get those insights, if there are 4 steps to getting a recommendation from an AI engine, chances are it's not going to be useful. It's not going to be used at all. And the second is you need strategic intent. It needs to be from the top, from the CXO level, all the way down in the organization. There needs to be a strategic intent to use AI. It needs to be communicated across the organization. The benefits need to be communicated, and it needs to be a very intentional approach, right? Well communicated, intentional approach. So that strategic intent needs to distill from the top down. You need to build trust in the system. Very often, when there are established ways of doing things, People are wary to sort of trust in a new way of doing things. So you need to build trust in the system. And one way of doing it is to have an AI system running and giving you recommendations, and also have the traditional way of doing it, and compare the two. Have metrics of success that people can refer to, that people can look at and then say, hey, this really does work. So you need to build trust in the system. Also, you need to have a clear understanding of the capabilities as well as the limitations. What can these systems really do well, and what can they not do? So that then, as an organization, you know how to approach it, what it can be used for, and what it shouldn't be used for. Strategy integration. So the AI strategy, it needs to be integrated into the broader organizational strategy. Essentially, AI is a tool that is helping you to reach existing objectives. So it needs to be integrated into your organizational strategy, not as a standalone separate initiative, but very much as a part of what you are trying to do as an organization currently, and essentially as an aid to help you get to where you are trying to go. So you need to also integrate AI initiatives into the digital initiatives of the organizations, very closely tied to how you collect your data, how you manage your data, where you store your data, etc. And you need to focus on AI's effects on your business models and your business goals and your business processes. Very often, some of the business processes do need to change a bit so that you're able to leverage AI in a meaningful way. And finally, we come to the AI adoption roadmap. The need for the roadmap is that if you don't have a roadmap, you don't have a clear idea about and an iterative way to build AI solutions. You might build a targeted solution today, but then tomorrow you think of another solution, and these two cannot work together, and they don't build off of each other. They don't complement each other. So it's good to have a well-considered, well thought out AI adoption roadmap. How do we go about it? So this is first why and then how, which is to say that it is all about your business goals. It is all about the current pain points that you have in the organization. So first look at why would you want to look at an AI solution? How do you think it can help you, right? And then look at what might be a valid AI solution for this. What kind of models, what kind of deployment, and into those technical details. But the first approach point really is your business goals and your business pain points. So understanding why you would want to approach this as an AI problem, and then look at how you're going to solve it. There are various dimensions to readiness at an organizational level. First is, of course, the data readiness. Then there is human resources readiness, business process readiness, your budget considerations. So we'll talk a little bit about each of these. The most important is the data. Right? For any AI solution, the most important ingredient is the data. And in terms of data, you need to look at how are you collecting this data? Where are you collecting this data? How are you processing this data? Very often, the data that's collected needs to be transformed in some way before it can be used for training an AI model. So how are you going to process the data? And then storage, where would you store this data, right? Are you going to do a centralized repository? What are the security constraints around it? What are the security constraints for your industry, for your clients, etc.? Cataloging, that's a very important consideration when you get into big data, when you get into quantities of data that are required for AI models. And the reason is, if you catalog your data, then you're able to pull data out that is relevant to your use case. Otherwise, you have a sea of data, and nobody knows where to find the relevant data points. So it's very important to catalog your data so that you're able to pull it out as you need, and you know where to look for it. Data security, as I mentioned, data visualization is a very important tool, because when you're talking about big data, you can't visualize it very simply, but there are many tools out there that can help you visualize your data and make sense of it. And data visualization is very often a first step to further processing. You get a snapshot of your data and you say, "Oh, I see something here. I'd like to explore it further," and that leads to the next steps. So, in terms of data readiness, these are some of the things that you need to think about and be skilled for. HR readiness. So your human resources, you do need to, get your employees ready for AI. Have them have a clear understanding of AI. It would be great to have your resources use off-the-shelf tools for productivity, because it's a great starting point. You do learn some prompting techniques just by using off-the-shelf tools. You get also a basic understanding of how AI works by engaging with these tools. You could have short-term training programs, to bring your employees up to speed. Uh, Also have an organizational structure plan. How are you going to structure AI talent in your company? What is the long-term pipeline plan? Right? Very often, when you start AI projects, you don't need to front load it much. You don't need to hire heavy right at the start, but you could outsource your development, have a small team to manage your AI solutions, and then build as you go. But it's great to have, and it's important to have a well-considered plan for HR right at the beginning. Your business processes, as I mentioned earlier, you do need to reimagine your business in order to be able to leverage AI to the maximum that it can give you. And you also need to focus on AI consumption, which is to say, you need to understand where would your users use this AI, how would they use it, and you need to deploy in a way that it can be used easily. The harder it is to be used, the less it will be used. So it's important to understand how are these recommendations going to be consumed, and then deploy in a way that it can be consumed very easily. And you do need to put efficient process in place to collect data, to process data, to store it as well. So even in terms of for data collection, the easier it is to collect data, the better it works. If someone is going to have to write down a few things and another person is going to have to key it in, the more complicated data collection is, the harder it is to collect data. Budget constraints. So, what are some of the things that will figure in your budgeting for AI? One is the data, right? Collection, ingestion, transforming, storage, all of this will incur some cost. So, and data often is one of the main constituents of an AI budget, right? Data takes up a lot of budgeting. Infrastructure. What is the kind of infrastructure you need? Are you going to use cloud resources, or are you going to have resources on site? So cloud, I feel that cloud is a great way to go, because it allows you to get started without a lot of capital investment, and then you can scale as your AI initiatives scale. What are the AI models you're going to use? Are you going to build your own models? Are you going to use pre-trained models? So even if you use pre-trained models, there may be a per usage charge. For example, for ChatGPT, there may be a monthly charge, some charge by tokens. So what are those expenses going to be? Research and development. So because AI as a field, it's not in its infancy, but in adoption, it's still early stages. So there's a lot of iteration that goes before you have an AI solution that really works well for you. So research and development is very much a part of having a good AI solution, and you should budget for it. Very often, the first cut of your solution may not be exactly what you're looking for, but the ability to iterate and to learn from the various iterations is important, and you do need to budget for that. You need to consider that. Monitoring and maintenance. So AI solutions, all AI models, they are not build, deploy, and forget. type solutions, you do need to monitor them. You do need to make sure that they are performing at the level that you expect them to perform. And what happens also is that the data changes over time. Your consumer behavior might change over time. Your numbers might change over time. So you do need to retrain your models and make sure that they are continuing to perform. So monitoring and maintenance is a very important part of AI solutions. And you need to budget for that as well. Human resources, as I mentioned, AI talent that you may hire, or upskilling your current workforce, those are considerations as well. So once you consider, you look into your data, you look into your processes, the infrastructure, the AI models, what is it going to cost to monitor and maintain these models? Once you consider those things, the idea is to have a roadmap where you have a mix of short-term and long-term projects. It's important to have some quick fix solutions, some quick wins, so that you can build trust in AI early on, and also have long-term projects that you would tackle. You do need to have a clear path to data readiness, to HR readiness, to business process readiness, and budget considerations. So this is what you would have in your implementation roadmap. Just an understanding of how you are going to approach AI, what are you going to implement, and in what order are you going to implement these projects. And as I said, it's very important to have a few quick win projects, have a few projects that you can deploy quickly so that you can build trust in the system. And the more people use AI solutions, the more they see benefit from it, the more willing they will be to consider, bigger solutions, and solutions that require perhaps bigger changes in the way they work. And I think that's it from me for the first workshop. So any questions?
If you want to stop sharing your screen, we can go to the chat. And
Sure.
I know, Rebecca, you have a question. Do you want to ask it?
Sure. Very interesting presentation. Thank you. I've been using AI a little bit in my email application. But I have many questions. My first question is, what type of education paths are out there for people who want to pursue a career in AI?
So there are a lot of courses available online today. And I think that is partly a byproduct of the pandemic, that a lot of courses, good quality courses, went online, right? So it depends on in what manner you would like to work in AI. If you'd like to build models and train models, it's important to have a foundation of the math and the data and the statistics, the data science underlying training AI models, and then understanding what are the different types of models out there and how you can train it, what is the kind of hardware you would need, how would you go about it. So that is one approach. The other way is if you wanted to use AI to impact your work directly. You're a working professional and you want to use AI. So depending on your functional area, for example, if you're a marketing professional, then you would look at what are the marketing tools out there. And there are specific training programs online as well for these marketing tools. There are many AI tools, companies which then provide training as well to sort of onboard users. So that's another way of learning AI. So really depending on how you would like to engage and work in AI, there is a lot of content available.
It's pretty overwhelming.
Yes.
So were you doing something in the data field before you got into AI? And what was that?
Okay. So I've moved around a bit. I was working in telecommunications earlier, and not in the data field at all. But what I started doing after that was investing in early stage businesses, right? And then in around 2017, 2018, a lot of the companies that were approaching us, almost every company would have a slide on AI. And we had no in-house understanding of what any of it meant. And so we decided, okay, we need to look into it. So that's how I started studying about AI. But when I started studying about it, it just was very interesting. And so then I went back to the basics, studied all the math and the statistics and the data science and the coding and built up from there. And then, now we, build solutions for clients. We also co-found companies with others. And we still continue to invest in AI businesses as well.
And what's your company name again?
So Beyond Z.AI is a company where we do consulting, we do training, we also build AI solutions. The foundation that Margie mentioned, Get AI Foundation, is where we try to bring underprivileged into the AI workforce to engage in the AI revolution in some way. We also have a company called VentureFactory, where we co-found AI ventures. So AI solutions are most effective, impactful when they're built alongside domain experts, right? People know how their businesses work, and they know how AI can be used and what is the data that you need to train these AI models. So we co-found AI solutions with domain experts. That's Venture Factory.
It is daunting.
Becca,
Yeah.
do you have another question, or can I turn it over to Pam?
You can, no, go ahead. Thank you.
I have a question about developing and implementing an AI policy in your company. This is something that was suggested in our kickoff presentation for this program, and something that we're thinking about doing. And also, this week, I just saw for the first time one of our clients sending an AI policy for work that we or anyone who's supporting their projects, guidelines for that. So I wanted to get your insight and just see, what you might recommend, or any kind of insight you see in navigating that, because that's a relatively new thing that we're exploring.
Yes. I think it's very important to have an AI policy in place, especially if you are in any kind of content generation, or you deal with any kind of private or sensitive data. And the reason being that it's becoming increasingly difficult to differentiate between AI-generated content versus otherwise. And not all AI-generated content is factual. So I think it's important for a person that's engaging with content that you may put out as an organization to know where that content has come from. So in terms of AI policy, one is to be very clear about AI, about referencing AI-generated content, right? About mentioning when content is AI-generated. In terms of an internal policy also, I think it would be great for organizations to have a policy where they can tell their workforce what ways they can use AI and what ways they cannot. Right? What are the areas where you are okay as an organization using AI, and what are the areas where you are not? And there can be copyright issues with AI-generated content, and I think that is an area of a lot of movement and is not fully sorted yet. So that's important to understand as well. When you're putting out content, you may not be able to copyright it if it's AI-generated. Right? And then, of course, healthcare industries like healthcare, which deal with very sensitive content. You need to be very careful about even how your employees may deal with that content with an AI tool, because any data that you use for AI training it can spit that out of context. So you just need to be very careful about how the data is being used. So in terms of AI policy, there's a lot to think about. One is usage. As an organization, what can and cannot your employees do? In terms of data, what will you use and will you not use? In terms of transparency to your external stakeholders, how much do you need to let them know and how much do you not need to let them know? So a lot to think about, and I think it's a very important thing to do. Very important to do.
Thank you.
Are there templates like we could copy for an AI policy, like examples?
I don't know of any. So there is GDPR in the US for healthcare, I think. The EU has an AI Act. EU is the European Union is more stringent with user data currently. So they are working a lot with to understand how they can put a policy in place in terms of regulation. Some states, I mean, we spoke at Utah recently, they have an Office of AI Policy, which is trying to understand how organizations can engage with AI and what are the restrictions around it. So I don't know that there is any, off-the-shelf policy that you might be able to take off, but there are a lot of people thinking very deeply about this area, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to bring this up to the other chambers as well, because I think all chambers need to have a AI policy on their websites.
True.
Yeah.
That would be very useful to have.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Mia? Well, this is part one of a three-part series. So next Friday at 8:30, workshop 2 is business strategies for AI adoption. So we'll take a deeper dive and learn how to transition from traditional analytics to big data analytics and discover how what tools can shape smarter business decisions. And we're going to talk about skill requirements, critical considerations, 2 real-world case studies showing how AI is driving strategic advantages in the marketplace. And then our final workshop is going to be AI for marketing and sales growth. So they all build on one another. So I invite you all for next Friday. And Mia, I want to thank you and your team so much. Just so you know, Beyond Z has joined the chamber, so they are here as a member, and we'll be able to use them, and just like we do other members. So they're a great tool for us. So thank you very much. And if there are no other questions, I wish you all a good weekend. It's like I had to think of what day it was. So, and thank you, Mia. I appreciate you. I know you're
you.
traveling right now, so we appreciate the time. So
Thank you so much.
thank you, everybody. See you next Friday.
Bye.